The 1%er Podcast with Sam Bakhtiar, bringing you the 1% knowledge to help you reach your full potential. Learn what it takes to rise above the 99% and become a 1%er.
Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome to the 1%er Podcast. It's your host, Sam Bakhtiar. I got my long time friend, the very successful Guillermo Haro on the show. What's up, buddy?
What's up, brother? How are you?
Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thank you so much for being here, man. Really quick, we've known each other for a little over 20 years. And now we didn't see each other for a long time till all of a sudden I ran into you at the Las Vegas airport.
That's right.
And I didn't even recognize you. I mean, you had a major transformation. You were kind of like, on the chunkier side 20 years ago. And now you're like, not only successful as far as financially, but you're successful in all areas of life, which I believe is for you to become a 1%er, you need to have your faith, your family, your fitness, finance, and fun. You have all of that attributes. And the one thing that was always missing was fitness, and you got that dialed down. And man, did you dial it down right now, man. I mean, you are in the best shape of your life, right now?
I would say yes. Maybe when I got out of college, I was probably equivalent, but I didn't have the muscle mass or the tonality like I do now.
Yeah, so you have more muscle mass. You have, just as good as cardio. Mm-hmm. So how old are you right now?
50.
So you're 50 in the best shape of your life, at the top of your game. And I want to dig into that. Is that okay? Can I dig into that?
Absolutely.
So before I dig into that, I know what the first memory of me is with you.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
I think I met you at your gym.
Yeah.
And we had a little brief conversation, and then not too much after that. I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to remind you. I'm going to remind you really quick. So I remember, you came to the gym, and you wanted to sign up. You were signing up with some of your staff, and and all that kind of stuff. And you came to the gym, and I was just a beginning entrepreneur. I think I was in like the 4th year of my business and all that kind of stuff. And you came in, and I give you a price for personal training for 3 months. And you started negotiating hardcore. like you came in there, Guillermo, you were negotiating hardcore. You were like, hey man, I want to go. And you sat there and negotiated. And I remember we kind of bumped heads in the beginning a little bit, because I'm like, who's this guy coming in a suit, and coming here and negotiating on the price of my personal training. So I had a little bit of ego. You had a little bit of ego. Like we were kind of clashed a little bit, right? And then we got reintroduced by a mutual friend, Dan Charlier.
Right.
We were at the Cabana room or something like that, or and then we became more and more friends, and then we didn't see each other, and then we ran to each other at the Las Vegas airport.
Well, I didn't see you until you got rich.
Yeah, you know what? Well, I'm trying to catch up to you, man. You always set a role model. You always been a role model. I always looked up to you, Ed, Dan, and all that kind of stuff. You guys have always been personal clients of mine and good friends of mine. And I know that success leaves clues, man. You know what I mean? And so I know for a while, I had to ignore everybody, go to a quiet place, and just do my thing. So for a period of, I would say, about 8 to 10 years, I disappeared. What I mean by disappearing is that, I stopped listening to everybody. I stopped looking at what everybody else was doing. I just put my feet on the ground and hustled.
Made it happen.
Yeah, made it happen. Made it happen. I'm like, I just got to do this. So I was in the zone, and then when I finally got to where I wanted to go, we're never where we want to go, but got to a comfortable place. Then I came out, I'm like, all right, now I feel comfortable to be able to sit down here with you and be able to talk to you and all that kind of stuff. Have you ever done that?
Yeah, I would say, because my business is a little bit more different than maybe what you went, the way you did it, because I've always sort of been in the public eye.
Yep.
We always have meetings and seminars and events where you're exposed out to the public. So I guess I was doing the same thing you're doing, but I was being watched every week and every month by the number of people out there. So my progression was being watched by all the people that I'm in front of.
Actually, because our nature of our business is a little different.
A little bit different, yeah.
So tell me about your beginning. Where were you born? Tell me about your mom. Tell me about your dad. Tell me about your beginnings. I want to know, the successful man in front of me. How was it from the beginning?
Well, Sam, the story's out there, and it's not a secret to anyone because I put it out on my Instagram and stuff, but I was born really poor. on a dirt floor in a little farm town in Zacatecas, Mexico. So all of
Zacatecas, Mexico.
Yeah,
Okay. Isn't that like where like the drug lords are and all that kind of stuff?
Well, there's drug lords throughout.
Yeah. Okay.
But we happen to have our share of them as well, and violence and drama and all that. But back then that wasn't the case. It's more of a recent thing where you hear all this violence and stuff. But I was born in a very modest home, at a home made out of adobe. I don't know if you know what that is.
I have no
Adobe
idea what that is.
It's like sort of like mud and like this material that's compacted together.
Oh, I've seen that back in Iran, where I'm from.
Yeah.
It's like kind of. I know exactly what you're talking about now. Okay,
so
yep.
Adobe people know as like the tech company.
Like one little earthquake, the whole thing collapses.
Well, I don't ever remember any earthquakes over there at that time, but yeah. In other words, this Adobe, it wasn't made like homes like the way we see
because
today.
I know in our country, Iran is very prone to earthquake, and I remember they had like a 6.0 earthquake, and the whole town collapsed because of that kind of infrastructure.
Okay, so I was born there. My mom was there in our house, two little bedroom house, not two room house. So one side was a kitchen. And then one side was this is sort of like a living room, which also had a couple of beds in there. And my dad was out in the field working, and my mom gave birth to me, and my grandmother was a midwife. Now, granted, it's like these are women from back then. They had no epidural.
Oh yeah,
they had no
old school,
no nurses, no Lamont classes, none of that. So just you talk about women that were just like tough.
Hey,
and
man.
they didn't know any better, so they just roughed right through it. So she had me, and then when I was about a year and a half old, I don't really remember this, but my mom and dad left to the United States in search of opportunity. And they left my sister and I have an older sister, Yolanda, and they left us with my grandmother so that they could take care of us.
So your sister, you said, is older?
Yes.
Okay, how old is your sister? How much older?
She's about a year and a half older.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you were 1.5, your sister was 3.
Yes.
Your parents left to America for a better opportunity and left you back with who?
With my grandmother and my aunts.
Okay.
And a couple of uncles too.
I know, but for them, that would have been heartbreaking for them, because but they're doing the right thing. They want to search for opportunity. They trusted them. Okay.
Right. So they came here, and interesting story. My mom goes back. We just met with her not too long ago, and she retold us a story now that it's captivating. And she said, so they left Zacatecas and went to the border to Tijuana, and then from Tijuana there's these guys that sort of they're your tour guides per se. We call them coyotes, right? Mm-hmm. And so they said, okay, you come over here. They took my dad to one side because he was going to go on foot and crossing the border, and then they stuck my mom in the trunk of a car with 8 other people. And for the next 2 hours, they moved through the border crossing, and then finally 2 hours later, they opened up the trunk and they're almost ready to die because she said they're running out of oxygen, and it was just they're in there like sardines. So my mom was basically putting her life on the line in order to give her kids a shot at the big time in America. And my dad walked the desert for about 2 days with limited food and water. And then by the grace of God, with no telephones, all they had was an address. And like 2 days later, they met back not too far from here, about half an hour from here, maybe a little bit more, in Pasadena, California. They both got there by the grace of God.
Okay, so when they got here, what happened after that? So they came here for an opportunity. I'm sure, in the beginning they had to have all kinds of odd jobs and all ends and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so
they did everything. Any work available they would do.
Yep.
So they weren't picking and choosing.
Definition of doing whatever it takes.
Absolutely.
This is, a lot of people talk about I'll do whatever it takes. I do it, but I mean, they walked in the desert for 2 days, shrunk, almost died, and had a lack of oxygen. They came in a new country, don't speak language, in the middle of nowhere, strange, left the kids and family at home. This is definition of do whatever it takes. Because I hate when people say, I'll do whatever it takes, but I have to leave the room when somebody does that. Yeah. I'm like, you don't know what definition of all it takes.
It's always they're willing to work conditionally.
Yeah.
If things have
That's
to be
bullshit.
this way. Yeah, exactly. Well, you and I understand that. And sort of one of the things that really gets me excited about certain people you meet is this immigrant mentality.
Yeah.
Is they're willing to do whatever it takes. They're not too pretty. They're not too cute. They're not too educated. They're not too smart. They're willing to do whatever it takes. And the people who do that obviously create this significant advantage over everyone else who sets certain conditions and parameters by which they're going to be successful by. So that was my mom and dad. They worked here for 3 years or so. And then when I was like 5, they went back and got us.
Do you remember that?
I do.
So so just tell me in your So from 1.5 to 5, you didn't see your parents. What was going through your mind as a little kid? What did your aunt say? What did your grandma tell you? Where all of a sudden I wake up, mom is gone the next day.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have some questions. I remember my mom one time, she told me she was gonna go to work, but she went to Hong Kong for 2 weeks. She had work to do. And I got up the next day. My parents, oh, should we bring back? For 2 weeks, I was wondering where my mom was. You know what I mean? And tell me what happened. What was going to your sister's mind, your mind. Where's mom and dad?
Yeah. I don't really remember exactly at 1.5 when they left,
Yeah.
so I really couldn't make that distinction of when they parted. I don't really remember that. But I was a kid, you're out there playing with the chickens out in the farm and
literally,
just playing around. I had my marbles, I had my resortera, like my little slingshot, and those are my toys. And you're just out, you're poor, you don't know you're poor. It's just the way it goes.
That's life.
You play with the other kids there. And then I remember my sister was a little bit older, and I remember at night we would just hang out together. She was like, she was there with me, and I remember we would pray. And at one point, it's like, I see that other kids would have mom and dads, and like, where's mine? And they're like, my grandma was too old, and my aunts were it just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
And then she says, oh, they're gonna come. So she kept inspiring me that there was this hope that my parents were gonna come back and get us.
And they did.
And then when they did, but so I had gotten so acclimated to the environment with my uncles, because they were real playful. I had my uncle Nino, that's what we call him, and he was my hero. He had this big truck, and I used to jump on the truck with him. And
we all have that uncle, man.
I just had that uncle. He was fun to be with, and all. And then my dad came. My dad was a little bit stricter, a little bit more direct and stuff, and. So I had to go from this uncle of mine
that was
to
all
my
fun
dad.
and kind of hero.
And then all of a sudden my dad was a little bit more strict, and he was just, so I kind of didn't like that. I had needed time. He says, no, I'm your dad. And then I questioned, like, no, you're not my dad, because I don't even know you. So
yeah.
But we went through that. They brought us to the United States. The other day, at one of my
How did they bring
functions-
you? Did they get citizenship here that brought you, or did you get here in the trunk of the car too?
No. Thank God for me. I mean, they paid the price so that I could come in just legit with my passport.
Okay, cool.
Legit with a passport. They had established.
So you had it easy, man. Yeah.
I had it easy, at least in that regard.
In that regard,
I didn't pay the price. I didn't walk the desert,
Yeah.
and I was in the trunk of a car trying to come over. It wasn't one of these really hard situations. So I think we took the bus from Zacatecas when we all came as a family to Tijuana, and then from there we came over and we went through immigration, and then they took a picture of us. Mm-hmm. The other day I showed that picture of all three of us. Back then you could have 3 kids on a passport or a visa, whatever that was, where there was our official entrance into the United States. It's unbelievable. All three of us, here's the little 3 kids. It was my younger sister, my older sister, and myself. And then my brother was actually born here, so they call him the norteño. He was the one that made it. He was the one that had U.S. citizenship, and I'm a U.S. citizen now. But I went through all the.
So it's 4 of you guys combined.
All 4 of us.
Oh, okay. So how was your life? Now in America, now now you come here. You're what, 4.5, 5 years old now.
5 years old.
So how is your life now different? Because you come to a new country, you don't speak English. How was it? How was it? How was the beginning?
Well, I often tell the story that we were poor in Mexico, but we're also poor here.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't.
And my parents had low-paying jobs. We lived in a little 1-bedroom shack in East Pasadena, California. And I remember sleeping on the floor.
Did you ever drive by there every once in a while?
Oh yeah,
I reminisce.
Drive there whenever I'm in the area. I just drive by. Now they're torn the house down because it was a house and there was like sort of industrial and commercial buildings around it, and there was like a tow yard right around there. Yeah. So I just go by just to like reinvigorate, like this is where I came from and now this is what has happened, and I just go there and I remember the warehouse with these big trucks that were across the street, and then the neighbor to our right, and there was this major street on St. Gabriel Boulevard where my mom used to work at this pottery, and she used to like with her hands, she used to like make these pots, come home all dirty and stuff, and she's just paying the price to feed the family. So I go by there sometimes, and I even go by the house where I grew up at, now in a different city in Duarte. And it just blows me away. It's like, I can't believe we used to live in that house. It's just crazy. 900 square foot house.
I know. I do the same thing. Every time I go to Pennsylvania. Matter of fact, I did a couple of videos in front of the house that when we first came to the U.S. And it's just such a good reminder.
You just gave me an idea. I think I'm gonna go.
Yeah. I think it's a great.
Take a video right in front of the two
exactly,
houses
and talk about I mean, I was definitely Definitely do that, man. It just shows your history, and I'm actually contemplating on buying the homes in Pennsylvania that we lived in. And just as a historian, I rent it out, but it's a historic landmark because Pennsylvania, the home was like, I think, one of them was like 50,000, one of them was 100,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just as a history, you can have it, have it out. So tell me, growing up, you guys were poor and all that kind of stuff. Tell me how, when you went to school, was there any discrimination? Tell me about all that.
I can tell you all about that. Yeah, just obviously you're the kid there. You stand out from everyone. By the way you dress, you have an accent. You don't really know the language. You're an easy target to be picked on.
Yeah.
It's just, you talk about kids that are like that and who are shy, and your parents say, you got to behave all the time and do the right thing. And so you don't know how to defend yourself.
Were you shy growing up?
I would say a little bit, and then I think it quickly wore out to the point where it's just like, this doesn't work. Being shy, it's just...
because I know all these years that I've known you, you have such a strong personality, such a strong presence. You're such an alpha male. Mm-hmm. Everybody who meets you, they said, man, when he comes in the room, you feel it. I'm like, yeah, that's G. Yep, that's G. You know what I mean? And so I can see that you might have been a little bit, but then you had to alpha up to be able to say, hey, man, this ain't gonna work for me, right?
Totally true. I constantly talk about that topic of when people are shy. For example, I have two kids, the two boys. I have a daughter, she's 17. She's getting ready to go to college. And we meet a lot of people in our business. Mm-hmm. We meet a lot of couples, a lot of people with kids, and you see couples that have kids that are shy, and then parents that are shy. And I just feel that that's such a quality that people need to rid themselves on. I don't know if it is a quality. I think it might actually kind of hold you back. So
it absolutely is, man. Yeah. Absolutely
in business, if you're shy, you'll starve.
No, I mean, look, man, you can't be shy in anything.
No.
You can't be shy in anything. You got to know what you want, go after and be confident and all that kind of stuff. There was a kid on my team that was literally, shy. And I think part of the reason, was that her mom kept telling her as a kid when she was growing up, hey, he's shy. So he believed that he was shy.
Absolutely.
And for the parents out there, man,
and
don't label your kids.
Yes,
mind.
It's sort of
you can't do that.
They had him believe that he really was.
100%.
Absolutely, yeah. So going back, when I was a kid, you had to quickly learn how to defend yourself and stand up for yourself. If not, you'll be picked on and bullied and talked about. And so it's a cruel world out there, and either you learn how to step up and fight it, or you'll fall victim to it.
Yep.
And you see a lot of people that are very victim mentality, and that victim mentality starts, I believe, when they were kids, because they're picked on, and then they just accept that, and that's just the way it goes. And then later on, they grow up, they're picked on by their boss, they're picked on by society, they're picked on by creditors, by their bills. So they feel like they're a victim, and they don't know how to stand up for themselves and defend themselves.
I couldn't agree with you more, man. There's nothing worse than being a victim mentality. Hey, we've all been a victim. Mm-hmm. We all been a victim. You've been a victim. I've been a victim. Everybody has been a victim at some point in their life. Is what you do with it, how you stand up to it. Are you going to cower down and label yourself as something, or are you going to stand up and fight back and be like, look, I'm not a victim anymore. I'm going to use this to catapult myself and become better, become more confident, and be able to fight back. And that's what you have done.
Yes.
So tell me, so in high school, let's talk about high school. Did you work in high school? Did you do anything?
I worked throughout almost as far back as I can remember. I remember I was always working, hustling, selling stuff, doing something to have money in my pocket.
I love it. So at what age did you start working? At what age you said, I just want money in my pocket?
I remember being in the third grade. Clearly, just remember this. I remember being in the third grade, and I had worked, and I think I mowed someone's lawn. I think I washed someone's car. I did something. Here I am, 7 years old, 8 years old, and I could work, right? I could do something. And not just, not on the tablet or just with video games or Nintendo.
You're physically working.
I said Nintendo, and now it's...
You're showing our age, man. Yeah, exactly. I understood that. We were right here, bro.
I think that was PlayStation or something, or Xbox or whatever they have today. But I remember earning my money, and I just felt proud of it. It's like I worked, and I got paid, and here's my money, and I had that result in my hand. And then I put it in my pocket, and I went to school. And then at school, I just happened to do something. I pulled out $5 in front of some of the kids there, and the kids looked at me like I was like, wow, you have $5. It was like so much money. It's kind of like a kid going to school today pulls out a $100 bill. I would imagine it's to some degree like that. So I had my $5, and I remember it's like, yeah, I got these $5 because I did maybe what you didn't do. Because most people are expected
this is so good, man.
to have a handout, and then I earned it. So that feeling of I earned it, because my parents were poor, they didn't really give us any money. I never had an allowance. Everything I had from, I remember being in the 3rd, 4th grade, I was already working to buy my own shoes. And because my parents, couldn't do it. They didn't make enough, number one. And then whatever little they did make was just to keep us afloat.
Your parents, I'm sorry, but they did you a favor. You are the reason you are, because if they'll give you an allowance, you wouldn't have done that. If they would have given you a handout, you wouldn't have done that. I don't think you would have been here if your parents were rich. You're given a silver platter. You wanted, I don't know about you, G, but ever since I was a little kid, I just wanted better things in life. I wanted.
That makes two of us.
You know what I mean? Ever since I can remember, I remember, watching, Magnum PI. I wanted a red Ferrari. I watching Cannonball Run. I wanted a Lamborghini. I seized it. I wanted to, have the good things in life, and I didn't know what to do, but I was willing to do whatever it took. I was willing to, if I need to work till midnight, if I don't have to sleep, if I had to get up, whatever, I was willing to do it. And like I said, I didn't have a handout. You didn't have a handout. And at the time, when I was growing up, not having a dad, for a second I felt bad for myself. I don't have a dad. But have I had a dad, or have I had all this thing handed to me, I don't think I would have been where I'm at.
Well, they would have robbed you of your hunger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had one of my friends, a good friend of mine, Rafa Mejia, the other day we had a little conversation. He told me, he says, you know why you're successful? And I says, well, I guess I have a series of reasons why I'm successful. He says, you were born with hunger. Yeah. So I think when you enable people, you rob them of their hunger. You rob them of the fight they're supposed to have to go battle themselves.
This is so good, man. This is so good. I mean, this is some serious nuggets you're dropping here, man. And I appreciate it. So, I want to talk to you more about that, but just really quick, because before it slips my mind, right?
Okay.
So, you have 2 sons and a daughter, right?
Yes, sir.
You are beyond wealthy.
I don't know about that.
I mean,
get more.
Because you're still hungry, right?
Still hungry.
Hungrier. Right? You have everything you ever need, plus more, right? How do you instill those hunger that you have to your children? I want to know, because I want to do the same. I struggle with that. Yeah. How do you do that?
One, I think that's a great question, and I don't know that I've cracked a code for it or have the complete answer.
I guess time will tell, right?
Yeah, but overall, just the conversations I have with them is, we have this whole thing about, the other day, my son Valentino, he's 6 years old now, just this beautiful soul. He's like my best friend in my life. He's only 6 years old, but I love him. And Valentino the other day kind of complained to his mom and I. He says, well, why do you guys have to leave? He says, well, Papa have to leave to go to the office, to go create more business so we can make more money, so we can do this. He says, but you already have a lot of money. I guess, sees me. He says, you already have a lot of money. I says, yeah, Papa, I already have a lot of money, but you already have a lot of toys. And every time we go to the store, you want more toys, don't you? And it caught him. He says, oh, and now he understands
the correlation.
My little one also too, he goes, y más, like, do you want more and more and more? And you don't necessarily just want more money just so that you can buy more things.
It's achievement. It's achievement.
It's the thing that if you stop doing that, then it robs you again of your hunger. Yeah. And as far as I'm concerned, we all got to eat every day.
But I mean, Guillermo, I've known you, and I know your lifestyle and all that kind of stuff. You're not only net worth rich. You taught me this. You're lifestyle rich. You know what I mean? It's not like, you're gone all day, you don't see your family. You're with your family, you provide and all that kind of stuff. And we'll talk to you, we'll talk about more of that. A lot of people are net worth rich, I do pretty well, but I'm not as lifestyle rich as you, because I do have a lot of businesses, and I got to be at the meetings and things like that. I remember, one time we had a meeting, you were working out in the middle of the day, 24-hour fitness. I'm like, dude, this guy's working out. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I mean, you have that's where housewives work out. You know what I mean? You definitely have designed your life.
Exactly.
You live your life by design, not default.
Absolutely.
And I really admire that about you.
Well, Sam, what it is I think you need to find something that's going to give you the opportunity to live life on your terms. So we talk about this term, lifestyle network. I'm sorry, net worth. So lifestyle net worth. So lifestyle net worth refers to the richness in your life in multiple areas. So there are people who have a lot of money, but they have no time.
Yeah.
And then there are people
that's me right now.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And you taught me that. I remember sitting down in the car with you. We had this conversation. You know, you said, Sam, I'm not only net worth rich, I'm lifestyle rich. And I looked at you. I'm like, you're a dick, bro. You just reminded me that I'm poor when it comes to lifestyle, and it made me level up. I've changed some things. You just came in. You just came in right now. You know, for this podcast, and you said, hey man, how many people do you have? You know, after our conversation, I literally started delegating everything, and was like, you know what? You know, I want to be lifestyle rich. I want to be like him. I want to work out at 10 o'clock in the morning, you know, have no care in my mind, you know, come out of 24-hour fitness, and then we're like, well, we're doing lunch. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I appreciate that. And, you know, thank you for, you know, teaching me that term.
Lifestyle net worth is important, and it goes right back to that. So how rich are you with regards to your money? How rich are you with regards to your health?
Yes.
Okay. How rich are you with regards to your relationships?
Yes.
How rich are you with your time with your family?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the 1%.
How rich are you from a spiritual standpoint? Yeah. How rich are you with regards to you being able to dictate the pace of your life and where you go and where you don't go, and just everything about your life. Yeah. It's like where you eat, how you dress, where you're seen at, the things that you do, and also the calmness you have. Do you have peace in your mind, or are you a racket? Yeah. And there's so many people that are in the hustle, and then they quite don't know how to channel their energy in ways that can really suit their whole life.
Oh, I've been there, you know, and I don't have it perfect yet, but I'm working on it, and I
must admit to you, Sam, for a period of my life, I don't know if it's 5-10 years or so, I was like all gung-ho trying to build it.
I mean, look, in my opinion, there is no such a thing as balance. You know, balance is earned, not given.
That's the biggest myth right now in business. Yeah, you know, how do you balance things?
There is no
balance.
Especially if you're starting out, right? So, if you're starting out, you can't all of a sudden just be balancing everything and move any needle forward, right? So you got to be gun ho. You got to go at one point, go all in and take care of one thing, so that this way you can come back and balance everything else. If you're trying to be balanced at everything, then you're not going to build nothing.
Yeah. You don't put enough gas in any one tank. Yeah. I think you need to max out there. It's funny you mentioned that right now, because yesterday we had this meeting. We have once a month, we have a meeting called Momentum Monday. All of you guys can go right on the website. You can go to my my YouTube channel. And
what is your YouTube channel?
Guillermo Haro, WFG. Okay. I believe it's Team Conquer.
Okay, Team Conquer.
Yeah, Team Conquer, WFG, Guillermo Haro, and I throw my seminars on there every single time, all my talks, everything that we talk about. And yesterday was probably one of the best ones we had in a long time. One of the gentlemen that I have in my business, his name is Danny Farias, just an incredible human being. This guy used to change tires at Costco. I mean, go figure. He used to change tires at Costco. Someone invited him to one of our business functions, one of our money seminars. And this guy, of course, enters the business and, you know, wet behind the ear, doesn't know anything from anything, greasing his nails. And we started to mold this guy and shape him. And yesterday he got up on stage, and this guy's just dressed to the T. He's got a beard trim like yours, and he saved his money. So to his credit, he paid attention to all the things we teach him. So many people out there making money, but they're blowing it. Yeah. They got bottle service in Vegas. They got the newest cars. They got a lot of jewelry. They have all these little knickknacks and stuff, and they forget about accumulating liquid cash. Yeah. And you got so much news out there and so much noise out there about people saying you got to have this and you got to have that. And I didn't buy into that. I bought into saving money. The idea of having $100,000, $200,000 saved in an account where you look at a statement, it has your name and it has a balance there. So Danny has been able to do that, and I think he's coming up on about $500,000 of money saved. You take a guy from changing tires at Costco to now coming up on $500,000 saved.
And about how long?
Less than 10 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah, less than 10 years.
That's crazy.
And by the way, he dresses nice, and he travels, and he just had a baby, and he married a beautiful girl, and he's molding his life. So therefore, one day when he's as old as you and I, this guy is sitting on top of something that he's created and built for the rest of his life.
I'm sure he's just one of hundreds of success stories that you have. Hundreds. I know you have helped literally hundreds and hundreds of people, you know, be multimillionaires and live the dream and all that kind of stuff. How does that make you feel? Because listen, it's cool that you're successful. It's cool that, I do pretty well. right? That's really cool, you know. But after a certain point, you know, after you take care of your basic necessities, you have your home, you have a nice car, you have a beautiful family, you know, you can travel where you want, you know, you don't have to balance your checkbook no more. You know what I mean? I'm sure you still do, you know, because I know you're very militant, you know, but after you do that, it comes to a point in life is like, look, what difference can I make? You know, not these people are your trophies, right? You know, just like, you know, my franchisees, you know, when I get a, you know, letter, hey man, you know, we used to live in a, you know, 1-bedroom apartment, all 5 of us, now we have a home. You know, I never took a vacation before. I know you get the same like that. How does that make you feel on the inside?
It's just one of the more rewarding feelings ever. To be able to have an impact in someone's life, like the way someone impacted me. Ed Milet brought me into the business and molded me and worked with me and developed me and just, you know, basically course corrected me and shined me up. And I've been able to do that with many, many people. And it's just got to be one of the more rewarding feelings ever to say, because of my example, because of my influence, because of the work that I put in, because of the conversations we have, this person's been able to consume that information, then apply it, and now their life is changing. You just watch them, man. You just watch people just become rich in all areas of their life right before your eyes. And that is just such a incredible feeling. It's kind of like when your kid does really good in school and they bring home straight A's, or they win a ball game and they hit the game-winning hit or home run or something, or they made the game-winning bucket. When your kid achieves, how do you feel as a parent? Yeah. So in our business, it's like, these are all my kids. Now there's thousands of them. So you obviously know some kids more than others. In this case, they're grown adults that have applied themselves. And then what you teach them, they actually put in motion and they stay consistent with it. So action and consistency are two of the biggest components associated with success.
You just read my mind, right? So you just read my mind, because I was going to ask you something, and I think you already answered, but I'm going to ask it to you anyway.
Sure.
Just want to make sure. So I know you have thousands of agents under you, you know, thousands, right? You know, and you know, it's kind of like, you know, I feel like when you have an organization under you, you know, we have 110 franchisees, right? You know, some franchisees excel. You know, they're the top 10. Some franchises do very good. Some franchises do okay. And some franchises just don't do crap. And, you know, and they just don't do it, you know, and I'm sure you have the same thing.
Absolutely.
I learned in life there's always that bell curve. You know, there's always that bell curve. You know, there's always, no matter what, a teacher comes in, gives the same exact lesson to a group of children. Some of them will get A's, some of them will get B's. Obviously, there's going to be C's, D's, and failures. You know, how do you deal with that? Because I mean, for me, I had a hard time for a while. You know, I'm like, look, man, look at this guy. You guys started at the same time. This guy went, and when I talked to him, he went and became a multimillionaire. He's doing it, and you didn't do shit with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that used to bother me. Does that bother you still, or how do you deal with that, or how can you change that around, or how can you change this person, I guess, if there's possible?
The reality is, Sam, I've learned with people, because I'm in the people business. Yeah. You are too. People are people. Characteristics that are ingrained in the very fiber of who they are will remain who they are no matter what. You have people in any business. You always have your 80%ers and your 20%ers. And then from that 20%ers, you have your 1%ers, you know, to credit to your brand. Here's one thing that we say in our business: we have the same company, we have the same market, we have the same license, you have the same system, you have the same opportunity, but we don't have the same belief. We don't have the same work ethic. We don't have the same plan of attack.
So good.
We don't have the same discipline.
So good.
So these are things that separate. Like the separation oftentimes is you could have the same opportunity, but you have different belief systems. You have just different ambitions. Some people will do it, and then some people won't.
Okay, so I got a question for you. So all these years you've been doing this, I put 10 people in front of you right now, and they all want to be your agent. And they all say they want it, right?
You got them?
They all say they want it bad, right?
Okay.
Can you identify the winner right away, or is it just something time will tell? Because let me tell you something. I thought I could
identify that immediately.
Yeah, immediately.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like you're like, oh, this guy's going to be a superstar. You know, this guy will definitely be a 1%er, that you know, the 20% or whatever. You know what I mean? You know, I thought I could. You know, but after a while, gave up. I'm like, you know what? Because I have so many people, come to me. This is about the weight loss, right? I had people come crying in my office. Sam, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm tired. I'm overweight. I gotta do this. I tried everything. This is the time. I want to do it. I'm crying. You see their emotions. They're and then they're ready to sign up. I spend all this time with them. Next day or next day, they don't show up and have all these excuses and all that, self-sabotage and all that kind of stuff. So I've learned, man, the only way is almost a numbers game. Cream will always rise to the top. Get as many people on, let them know whoever wants it, they're going to excel, and those are the ones I'm going to really pay attention to because that's who they're really. Because you really can't, one of my friends said that you can't, feed a mouth if it's not open. But have you developed that skill? Because I haven't.
Well, everything you said is true, and then there's a few more points on top of that. I would say the important thing to understand is that number one, you're looking for hunger. Like who really does has hunger and then is willing to show up with it. So showing up, opposite of some people says it's just if you show up it's not good enough. No, because there's people who don't show up. So if you show up, that says that, okay, work with me. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the day is watch them. Because a bunch of people have a good game. They talk a good game, they say the right things, they dress nice, they're sharp, they're educated. But at the end of the day, are they willing to get in the game and stay in the game? Are they willing to do the hard work, the nitty gritty? Are they willing to really show up and make that happen? And you really learn that over the course of time. Yeah. Give me 3 months with someone and I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. Because you see patterns, right?
Yeah, you see patterns and consistency and all that kind of stuff. That's because Tony Robbins always talks about, if you see the pattern, right?
Absolutely. You see the willingness to change, the willingness to learn. They make eye contact. You can tell that they're gobbling it up. As you speak it, you can just tell that they're consuming the information and they're quickly applying it. And then one of the things that I've learned big time with successful people is they keep their word. Yeah. That's one of the things that I've learned as a man, from my dad to my grandfather to these other men, is like whenever you say something, that's a very big Mexican thing I would say, honor your word. Yeah. Your word is as good as you are. Yeah. If your word is not good, then what is good?
So simple, but yet these days it's almost like,
because you got the flaky society today. You got people that say one thing, they do another. They don't commit to that. So I pride myself as if I say I'm going to do something, like Sam, I told you I'd be here at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'm here.
Oh, it's like, John said, I'm going to confirm. I said, we don't have to confirm. I know he'll be here.
Yeah.
He's like, yes.
And that doesn't necessarily apply to everybody because people are quick to say something came up. If you're the kind of person that always is talking about something came up, that means your stock is low and gonna crash. And then also the fact that you have to be reminding them, you gotta keep confirming, hey, there's no value in saying something and then not following through with it. Zero. Yeah. So I think that's a very compromising position people put themselves in. They say one thing, they don't follow through with it. People can't count on you. Yeah. The stock with me is, hey, if G said he's going to do something, he's going to do it.
He's going to come through.
I'm going to come through. I mean, barring a few massive emergencies or something, which almost never happen. Yeah. But overall, whenever I say something, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and I think as you should, and as everyone should.
Absolutely.
All right, so at 3 years old, at third grade, you start selling stuff and all that kind of stuff. All right, tell me in high school, what did you do in high school?
Working throughout my high school years, playing sports. So it's funny how I went to school, I still had a job, and I was still on the sports team because I love sports. Yep. I love basketball, football, baseball. Try to do a little run track. I never really played soccer. I mean, you would think I'm Mexican, I would play soccer, but somehow never caught on to that. But basketball really caught my attention. Yeah. So I find a way to maneuver my schedule so therefore I can go to school. Pretty average C student. That's basically who I was. I wasn't the A student. I didn't fail, but I wasn't the best student. So C student, I played basketball. I had a job. I paid for my expenses. I saved up to buy my own car. I was in 11th grade. I bought my own car. I remember it was $3,500 I had saved from my job.
That's a lot of money back then, man.
Yeah,
what'd you buy?
Volkswagen Jetta.
Oh my God, my first car was a Volkswagen Rabbit.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Okay, mine was a 4-door Volkswagen Jetta, and by the way, I now had transportation. Now I was mobile. Now I could do the things that I needed to do, so I moved around, and then I was just looking for every way to make money. to make money. Just always had that inside me. I love to have money. I remember when we were in Pasadena, and I'd won a drawing contest at school. They took us to some museum, and I won a drawing contest. And then that contest, it was attached with like $200 or $300 prize. And they sent my mom a check to the house, and I had made more money on that contest than my mom made all month at her job. And she took me to the bank right there in Progressive Savings. Back then, the savings alone, they don't exist anymore. But she took me to that bank and opened up a savings account. And the lady says, "Wow, young man, this is a lot of money." And I'm like, "Man, this is like, I don't know, that
yeah, motivated you at that.
That gave me that spark." And I said, "Okay, this is the name of the game. You gotta start revving up a net worth."
Yeah. So that was high school. Did you ever make it to college?
I made it to college for a little bit.
Okay, so did you go to college because your parents said to go to college, or did something you wanted to do?
I went to college because society told me to go to college.
Yes, that's right. Okay, good. Because I went to college because my mom said you had to go to college, right? Looking back right now, looking at what you know now, would you have gone to college?
Under the right conditions, yes. If I had to rewrite my life all over again, no.
Do you, with your kids, do you want them to go to college?
Yeah.
You want them to go to college?
Yeah. Let me tell you why. Let me interrupt you for a second. Let me tell you why.
Structure.
Well, they're going to have enough structure by having me in their life.
Yeah, true that.
So daddy's going to provide the structure and the discipline and the schedules and goals and writing them down.
Would you say your style of, your style of parenthood is the same as your father, or was your father a little harder, or how would you compare? Because you said your father was kind of hard on you a little bit.
Certainly my dad was a lot harder without reasoning. He was really old school.
Yeah.
It's kind of, he did probably a shade lighter with maybe than what my grandfather did with him.
Got it.
He was just really strict, really.
Yeah. That's all they know.
Yeah, that's all he knew. So I don't, I just take it. Some people, like my sister, kind of took it really hard, the way the parenting style that my parents had with, especially my dad with her. And I just sort of took it like, hey, that's how he is. So I just sort of rose above it and understood that that's the way he knew it. And my dad wasn't a very affectionate kind of person. Today it's like I'm so affectionate. I hug and kiss my kids.
And your dad's still around?
No, my dad was gone he was 48 years old. He was gone.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
It was
48?
I was 19 years old or so when he was gone. So I haven't had a dad now for almost like 30 years or so.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So it is what it is. He was a little negligent with his health. He drank a lot. He didn't have lifestyle net worth. He was just, his whole thing, he was an alcoholic. And unfortunately,
that was to get rid of his pain.
Yeah, he was really hardworking and alcoholic. Wasn't the best dad. Wasn't the best husband. Could really work in those areas, and then just really stuck on his ways and wasn't. He developed maybe a little bit too late.
Yeah,
that's kind of the challenge, and he probably kind of recognized it. And then a good man upstairs took him from us. Yeah. But now I look at it, I go back and I analyze my life in many ways. What did he do? And then what have I changed? Is this from one generation, Sam?
Yeah.
I want you to hear me on this. From one generation to the next, there's been an absolute 180 difference in the way we do parenting, the way we look at life, the values, the quality of time, and then also the reward and punishment system that I've created for our family. And not necessarily punishment, but just to hold back until
consequences.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and that's crazy. In one generation, how much you have changed, and all the credit goes to you. I mean, tap tap yourself on the back, bro. I mean, you earned it. I mean, this happens over 10 generations. You've done it over one generation. And it's just amazing seeing you, against all odds. Against all odds, you rose above.
It's funny you say that because we just had a conversation not too long ago with some of my business partners. Is against the odds. Yeah. So all of you out there listening, is if you feel the chips are stacked against you, the odds are stacked against you, you could clearly still do it. I mean, you need to have massive desire. You need to go in with everything you got. You need to stay after. You need to be consistent. You need to grow. You need to cut out all the vices that slow you down.
But I don't know if you ever read Tim Grover's book, Relentless.
Absolutely.
He talks about the dark side. He talked about dark side.
Yes.
And for
very familiar with that, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I know you had him speak, and all that. Yes. And for a long time, I thought I thought there was something wrong with me. Whenever there's two books that I read that I'm like, wow, wait a second, maybe I'm okay. One was, relentless. Talk about dark side, because my dark side was always not having a father and having a chip on my shoulder and being poor and being on food stamps and, having to, push the car and so we can go to school because I can pop it in the clutch and get it started up and, being picked on and getting cut from the basketball team and getting beat up and bullied and all that kind of stuff. So I always had that dark side, I had that chip on my shoulder, like, look, man, I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to show you what's up. And
you have,
yeah, and
to your credit.
Yeah, and so when the odds were all against me, I've always been the underdog. I'm used to being the underdog. I was never the one that said, oh yeah, this guy, has it all, he's gonna make you go. No, I'm used to I'm used to it. And I think you have the same kind of mentality. I have a feeling when somebody says, well, I don't think he can do it. You're gonna use that as fuel, not as, oh my God, I want to be down.
That's probably been one of my biggest driving forces.
Yeah.
I've had, some people pretty close to me. Yeah. I had a conversation one time with someone really close to me that says, well, you can't make it unless you have a college degree. Sam, I looked at him right in there, and I nodded my head up and down a little bit, and I says, we'll see about that.
Yeah.
And then I had a purpose. He said, in life, you need a hero. You need a cheerleader, right? You need a supporter. You need a coach. You need an enemy.
So true.
If you don't have that enemy, if you don't have that one force you're trying to defeat, whether that enemy could be a belief, that enemy could be a person saying something bad about you, it could be a critic, it could be a hater, it could be whoever they are, but you need that enemy. I think for almost everybody out there, you look at successful people in politics, do they have an enemy?
Oh,
successful people in sports, do they have an enemy? Successful people in it, business owners, do they have a competitor?
Yes.
So you got to understand that person's there and they're trying to eat your lunch.
So I'm glad you brought that up, you know what I mean? Because, in the mornings, when I get up, my routine is I come downstairs, while I'm, mixing my pre-workout, I'm reading my goals. I'm reading a list of, things that I'm grateful for. But I also have a secret list. People that I want to prove wrong. People that said, I wouldn't be able to do it. People who doubted me, people who put me down. I have that list. I call it a dark list, and I don't really share it with people. But I do have that. And that drives me. Gratitude is cool. Of course, my children drives me, but I need that in my life. I need to have. I need. If I'm a Batman, I need to have the Joker. I need to have that. So, with you, having obviously we know who the cheerleader is. You know what I mean? Who, the coach. Would you say Ed Mylett was what? Ed
Mylett's certainly one of my coaches. There's another gentleman named Rich Stolley. He's one of my coaches. I have several coaches that I look up to, some from a distance.
Yes.
In many ways, you're sort of a coach to me.
I appreciate that. So, that's an honor to even be mentioned in that realm.
Yeah. Well, and to your credit, you've done so many things that actually inspire people moving forward with their life against the odds.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have these cheerleaders. You have a mentor. You have a coach. Mentors and coaches are different. I used to think they were the same person. I've recently discovered that they're really kind of different.
Tell me the difference.
I think a coach is very similar, like what you see in sports. Is they're going to guide you in that specific moment about that topic.
So is more related to is more technical. Is more technical, and a mentor is more tactical.
Yeah, mentor is sort of a bird's eye view. They're looking at the whole thing. Yeah. Like if I'll mentor you, Sam, I'm gonna mentor you about your lifestyle. Okay, tell me about your marriage. Tell me about your kids. Mm-hmm. Tell me about the strategies you have for business. Tell me about your financial net worth. So I'm mentoring you sort of as a full circle. Versus a coach is
specific to one thing.
Exactly. Maybe a coach is specific to, like, none of my high school coaches ever talked to me about finances.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Versus a mentor is sort of a well-rounded look at the whole thing. Let's look at the whole pie, not just one slice. Mm-hmm. And I think that might be the difference.
So, okay, that's profound. I never looked at it that way, but that's so that you just, I'm learning, this, I'm going to transcribe this and put it on the website because there's so many nuggets here, man. People should just like download it, copy and paste it and just read this over and over again and listen to it. When did you first got involved in, the business, the WFC?
This was 1999, and I got started. I got invited to a meeting.
Okay.
And that night I went over to, not too far from here, 18780 Amart Road. I still remember the address. As a matter of fact, I went on an appointment.
Is that a Diamond Bar?
It's in Walnut.
Walnut?
Yeah. So I passed by there, and I almost wanted the guy to stop and take a picture with with the address, and said, "This was the beginning of my business."
You should do a video.
I'm gonna do that. Now you just lit the fire for that. So I went there in 1999. There was a guy who invited me to this money seminar, this business function.
Who was the guy?
His name is Jimmy Reyes.
Jimmy Reyes. Okay.
Jimmy Reyes.
Jimmy Reyes.
Anyway, we'll get over that.
Okay.
But he served his purpose. He introduced me to Ed Milet.
Okay.
That night, I shook hands with Ed Milet for the first time, and
then the rest is history.
The rest is history.
So Ed Milet told you about the business, mentored you, coached you, and all that kind of stuff. And
he trained me.
Okay.
He taught me the basics of the business. He encouraged me. He lifted me up. He pushed me. There's so much that this coach. So Ed Milet was sort of a figure in both areas, because I was watching his life. I was watching the unfolding of his life, and how he was already married, but I saw his wife, and then he started having kids, and then he started really increasing his net worth, and I was right there witnessing this right before my eyes, and then I would have interaction with him, and just to be close to someone that's this power with proximity concept is absolutely amazing.
So now you got me curious, man. Tell me about Jimmy Reyes. It sounds like you doing like this, and I know it's probably a difficult conversation, but fuck it, let's do it.
All right, you insist. He was a gentleman that introduced me to the business, and then he was there a little bit after I got started, and then he quit. He just exited the business for whatever the reason. Okay. And I proceeded with the business. And we go back, and in our business, like in any business, like whoever introduces you, they would have a financial incentive, a financial gain based on everything you do.
Okay. So, even if they quit the business?
No. Okay. You got to be in it to win it.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, you got to be in it to win it. So
right.
he didn't continue with the business.
Or did he F up?
That's kind of the hard part to have. Is there's just so much, and people. From what I hear, because I've mentioned his names from stage and all my stories and things once in a while. And it gotten back to him or something. I haven't seen him. I wish him well. He's a good man and all that. But, decisions. You can make one decision from a business standpoint that could forever have a incredible loss. That was a big mistake. You are one of the top dogs in that business. And he would have just laid back and just, oh my God. My God. So there's something to learn about, hey, hang in there. Stay strong. Don't quit. I'm not a quitter. I often hear things throughout social media, winners never quit, quitters never win. Well, really believe that and then live by it. And today we have people that get started as entrepreneurs, and then they find out it is a challenge. Being an entrepreneur, a successful one, is not easy. Well, I mean, look, man, everybody wants immediate gratification. They want to put in the least amount of work and get the maximum amount of return, and life just doesn't work that way. Absolutely we all know about the 10,000 hour rule, right? Absolutely. For you to become an expert in anything, you need to put in 10,000 hours. A doctor gets a PhD, 10,000 hours. A pilot needs to put 10,000 hours, to become proficient at flying a plane, and you put in your 10,000 hours and plus. The problem is people want to put 500 hours here, 1,000 hours here. Oh shit, didn't work, I'm going to quit. No. You know what I mean? I've been in this business all my life. I'm in the fitness business all my life. And man, there's so many people who have come and gone. When the things were good, they're in. When the things got a little bit sideways, this and that, they were the first one to jump off the boat. I just hung in there because it's what my passion, it's what I love, and that's where I am, where I'm at, because I put in time. That's why you are where you're at, because you put in the time. And everyone who's really gotten really successful, from athletics to politics to business to show business to anything, any entertainer out there, Sam, they put in the work, they put in the time, the dedication, they study their craft, they're meticulous with their preparation. And so few people are willing to do that because it takes work. Success is not a microwave proposition. Yeah. It's discipline, it's consistency, like you said. It's showing up when you don't feel like showing up. Yep. And you've done that. So you started that business in 1999. Mm-hmm. Around that time, who else started with you? Oh, a host of other people. Dan had started a little bit before me, and I can give you, a list of probably 50 to 100 people who also started, of which with time they just sort of fell off. Okay, got it. So at the time that you started, I just want to see your mindset. I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated because I like
I love human performance. I want to see what makes people tick. I want to see why some people win, some people lose. I want to see why some people get ahead than others. So from my own thing, I'm looking at this and say you just started, you went to that meeting, and I bet you that was like, probably like, very beginning of WFG. Mm-hmm. I don't know when it was founded, but it was probably in the earlier years, right? And so many people who started maybe around the same time as you. How did you rise above? How did you rise above and are one of the top dogs?
The way I did it is I paid attention. I showed up.
You showed up.
I did what they asked me to do. And then I kept doing it. And then I kept doing it. And then I didn't quit. And I continued to get better and better. And I saw that there was a mountain of wealth ahead to go get.
You saw the opportunity.
I saw it.
You saw the opportunity, just like you saw the opportunity when you were third grade.
Absolutely.
When you saw the opportunity in third grade, you saw that opportunity, you saw that, you whipped out that $5. You saw that, now you saw that opportunity, you're like, man, I'm going for it. As you saw opening, oh man, I'm going to go for this. And then you just ran with it.
It just made sense to me. So there's a product that is being offered by this company that everybody needs. In my opinion, I believe everybody should have coverage. If you have anything of value, you protect it.
And that's so huge. You're selling something that you 100% wholeheartedly believe.
Without a doubt.
You wouldn't be successful the way you are if you didn't believe in the product.
Absolutely.
You can sell a Chevy if you believe in Fords, right? So this is something that you have, something that you got for your kids or your family and everybody else like that. This is a product you believe wholeheartedly that everybody should have. So it's an easy sell.
Yeah. And if it's an easy sell, then you have to put it in front of a lot of people. It's like how many face-to-face conversations are you having with people about your product? Mm-hmm. I mean, you got to promote it, and you got to promote it, and you got to stay after it, and you have to continue to move forward even when things go bad. The reality is, it makes sense, but not everybody thinks it makes sense. Okay. So you got to continue to do it, and then you got to get other people to believe it like you, and you got to get other people to believe it like you. So it's this sort of evangelical approach to it where we're distributing this faith, and then some people catch on to that faith, and some people don't really buy into it. So I just kept doing what others didn't.
Yeah, you showed up, you were consistent.
Stay the course.
Yeah, you stayed the course.
Stay the course.
Obviously that required a lot of discipline, a lot of dedication, a lot of paying attention, all that kind of stuff. So this whole career started in 1999. At any time, did you ever say, you know what, man, this might not be it, or did at any time you had anything rocky and say, you know what, I'm going to quit, or that was never an option?
It was sort of never an option, but there's always these little vague thoughts once in a while, like maybe something else might be better. And then you start to really, I'm a big believer in drawing a Franklin T. You have a question about something, you draw a line in the middle of the paper, and this is the left side. These are all the reasons why you shouldn't, and these are all the reasons why you should. And then again, I just reconvinced myself. And then you start to really look at comparisons. And it says we shouldn't compare, but the reality is we do. Yeah. We do compare, and you compare our model, our system, our business versus other opportunities out there. And hands down, Sam, I'm a pretty smart guy.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty big common sense guy, and I can identify what is and what isn't. And obviously I read, I'm financially astute. I understand what's happening. I connect with a lot of people that are really high up in finances. And it just kept pointing to this one. Okay. And this is it. This is a product that makes sense. This is a market that has been underserved for decades. And I just believed in it more and more. And as I was doing well, I'm one of the few people, from what I've seen, when people do well, they sort of sit back and think they've made it, that they relax. One of the things that happened with me when I started to do well, I actually stepped on the gas even more. I accelerated my efforts.
More. Yes.
I got hungrier. Success made me hungrier. Success didn't make me complacent.
Yes. So
it's a real unique thing. Very few people have that. From what I've seen, success for many people is their own failure.
100%. It's kind of like the boxer who is very hungry, winning, the title. And once they win the title, they start smoking their own exhaust and thinking they're all that. And then they train a little less, and they don't, they show up a little late. They buy a bunch of nice things, and now they're partying. And next thing you know, they're getting knocked out.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's the same thing, man.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing.
Yes.
You're like the Floyd Mayweather. You're like, you know what? I'm 1-0. I don't want to be 1-1. I want to be 2. So you kept building on that, and then you stay true to the craft. One of the things that I noticed noticed, man, is that, you are very successful. I have to give some of that credit to your wife.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? And I mean, your wife is a beast. In the business, in the gym, as a mom, she's a beast. I mean, like she's just an all around, just an amazing person, around, very humble, beautiful, amazing body. Like I said, she's a beast in business, You
notice all that, huh?
Who doesn't? So, for me is like a lot of times, I was talking to Sean Ray, one of the Hall of Fame bodybuilders of all time last week. And he said that when he was competing, and I remember seeing him in the gym, we were friends, when he was competing for Mr. Olympia for all those years, for 10, 11 years that he was competing for the title, he said he never had a girlfriend because he knew that, that would be a distraction. He knew that when he went to he went to this apartment, he knew exactly what the food was, exactly when he didn't open up the fridge and there was Cocoa Puffs in there. You know what I mean? He didn't want any distractions. And I know that's a lot of discipline, for you to stay true to that and then just stay focused on everything. No, I don't want any distractions, But you, found Angelica, you guys met and all that kind of stuff. And I knew that, you wouldn't pick somebody because your business is, you work so hard for, you wouldn't pick somebody who will slow you down. You will pick somebody who will complement that. Where a lot of people, that's their biggest downfall. Mm-hmm. They meet somebody, they have a spouse, and the spouse is always, they're not in their business, they don't understand, they want them home, and you really found the cheerleader that's out there pushing you. Tell me how you met her, how was the decision-making process, and gosh, man, it's refreshing to know there are women out there like that. You know what I mean? Because that's a rare breed. You found a rare breed.
Oh man, I did. Before we go there, let me tell you basically how that came. This was that week between Christmas and New Year's. I was up at my lake house in Lake Arrowhead. Beautiful site there. It was all white, and the water was there on the lake. So I went out to my deck. It was high above. It was just one of the most gorgeous scenes out there. I bought that house from Ed Milet, by the way. So I'm there outside of my lake house there, the snow, and then I took a pen and paper and I started just jot down my life goals. And then I made a decision that I wanted to basically order, like say, God, let me place my order for a spouse. Mm-hmm. And then I started to write down all the things I wanted in a spouse. I wanted to be this, this, and this, and this.
Who else has said that? Somebody else has said that, and it's almost like a genie came true. But go ahead.
Oh, it's exactly. It's like I always, well, I don't necessarily believe in a genie as much as a man upstairs, but you get the point, though. Yes. So I was writing down the very things I wanted, and I thought about it, and it was just the setting was beautiful. And then 3 months later, we're at Los Angeles Convention Center for the company convention. And I was one of the speakers, and I'm there speaking in front of, 17,000, 18,000 people. And in the audience was Angelica and her two other sisters. So and by the way, I didn't know her. She didn't know me, but she had heard of me through, obviously, I'm the one Latino in the company that's excelled to the highest levels. I was the first $1 million earner in the company. So her group over there had talked about mobilizing all the people to convention because I was going to speak, so they're going to hear my story all over again. I went up there and I told my story. I told where I came from, my parents, very similar story that I gave you right now. So she was in the audience, and she said that my story just absolutely impacted her, captivated her. They were crying. Her story is a little similar to mine in that regard, with parents that are, obviously struggled and, dealt with poverty and discrimination and all the challenges from transitioning from one country to another. So at that point, the company made an announcement that if they would make a donation to the charity that the company has, that they'd be able to bring the donation up and then shake the hands of the leaders up on stage. So I'm one of the leaders up on stage. So then droves of people line up to come give a donation. It could be a few bucks, $5, $20, whatever it is. So I noticed I was up on stage, and then people were putting money into these wheelbarrows. But I noticed on the right side of the stage, there were 2 wheelbarrows, and on this side where I was at, there was no wheelbarrow. So I said, well, that didn't make any sense. So then I went over there and I picked up a wheelbarrow, like a farmer, and I bring this wheelbarrow, across stage. I don't know if it's, 40 feet or whatever. And I bring it over to the other side of the stage, And I put it there, and people kept coming up, and then they put their donation in the wheelbarrow. This wheelbarrow is getting filled with cash, and we shake hands. And then one sister came up, I shook her hand, and then another sister, and then Angelica came up, and Angelica, she was stunning, right? I saw her, and I shook her hand, and I'm like, I looked her up and down. I don't know, I was just being too honest. I looked her up and down, I'm like, what's your name? And she perks up a little bit, gets the right posture and everything. She goes, Angelica. And I'm like, where are you from? She said, San Jose. And I'm like, San Jose? What team are you on? So she told me the name of the guy on the team, and him and I are sort of kind of rivals. And I'm like, okay, give me your name again. She said, Angelica. What's your last name? Betancourt. So I quickly got the name, and I reached out to my people at home office. I says, hey, I need the information on this person because there's some arrangements I need to make with her. And they says, well, I said, just give it to me, cut it out. So I had her number, and 15 minutes later. And the follow-up system started to go to work.
You started cold calling her.
Well, she knew who I was. She knew who I was. And so I called her up, and then she had a boyfriend at the time. She was really successful in mortgages. Mm-hmm. She had this boyfriend that was living with her, but obviously clearly wasn't the right fit. So during the next 7, 8, 9 months, I'd actually coached her on how to shake them. I said, I want you to tell him this is what he's going to tell you. So very strategic. I put in place for her a script, if you will, of everything that was going to happen. And then we just kind of kept working through it. And then another month went by, and another month went by. And then at one point I says, listen, you clearly know that you should be with me. And you're sort of refusing to follow this challenge I'm giving you to get rid of this guy, because this guy's no good for you. I'm the guy. Drop that zero and get with this hero.
Get the hero, right?
And I says, I'm gonna give you one more shot to do this. You must perform, or else let's just, between you and I, let's just cut it off. Mm-hmm. And then the following morning, I called her after she was supposed to do it. And I says, okay, she picks up the phone. She goes, hello. I says, okay, tell me what happens. And then she paused for like 10 seconds. The minute she paused for like 10 seconds, inside of me, I'm like, yes, I got this.
You knew it.
I knew it. And I says, okay, we'll quickly make this an exit. And then she was concerned about, where was he going to go? Poor thing, because he had been with her like for 6, 7 years. Mind, it was her house. She had bought it in her name. So this guy was just basically, going for the ride. I loved all the good life, but wasn't willing to, own up to it. And by the way, he didn't ask her. I mean, Angelica looking the way she looks. This guy, Dodo Head, didn't ask her to marry her.
Yeah.
So
7 years? Gosh.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous. So anyway, that happened, and then he finally got out of there, and then I convinced her to move from Northern California, from where they're at, San Jose area, move over to Southern California, and we started our life over here. And that was a big disconnect, because she's so tight with her sisters. I mean, it's like these, you've never seen sisters that are closer than these ones. Like they hug for like 15 seconds straight, maybe even longer, and they got this little So it's fascinating how I married into a woman that has great family values, super hardworking. She's sharp, she's beautiful.
So how, was she able to transition and now be part of your business? Is that possible?
Yeah.
Is that possible?
It's not easy, but it's doable.
Got it.
Like a fit body, it's not easy, but it's doable.
Got it, man. So you had some things to overcome to make that happen.
No doubt. But I was so determined. I just knew it.
I know based on everything you've done, man, you get what you want all the time, right?
Well, just thank you. I was committed to it. I just knew that was it. And then we actually dated before she moved out here, just to make sure that the chemistry was right and that we connected, but we're on the same page. Two people aiming at the same goal.
Yes.
Is an unbeatable, unstoppable combination.
Absolutely.
Now you throw love in there. Yeah. So you got two people in love.
It's just gasoline on top of that.
Aiming at the same goal is an unbeatable, unstoppable combination. That's what my wife and I have been able to do. Now, let me also be honest with you. It's not perfect.
I mean, you're two different people. You're gonna have disagreements and all that.
We do have our disagreements, and we do have our.
You guys both like alphas too. You know what I mean? So
yeah, my wife. By the way, her birthday is June 4th, and my birthday is June 5th.
Oh gosh.
So we're both Gemini, and they often say that the best match for a Gemini is another Gemini. But with this Gemini characteristic also comes the fact that she's right, and I think I'm right, and then we have that little challenge sometimes, but we've learned how to really work with one another. So she has strengths, I have strengths, she has weaknesses, I have weaknesses, and we're able to make it work. We collaborate. We have our moments where there's these disagreements, like any other marriage, but we're committed to it.
Yeah.
We're highly committed. We're raising a household. We have 2 beautiful boys. We have a great life.
Well, you have the 2 most important things that I see. You have, love, trust, and respect
Absolutely.
of each other. Everything else can be worked out. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So when you have those 3 things, man, nothing can stop you, man. So, all right. So, you're in a business. You're the first Latino to hit $1 million. Now, you at the top of the food chain. And you said the more successful you become, the hungrier you become, which is a rare read. Most people get more complacent. They want to lay back and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
What's next for you? What in the next 5 years, what's next for you? You're 50 years old. You look like you're 30.
Thank
you
you.
literally like I said, you look 50 20 years ago, and now that you're 50, you look 30. It's crazy. I'm being honest. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And you literally have turned back the clock. You look so much better than you did when I first met you. You know what I mean? Beautiful wife. Mansion. You have everything going for you, right? So what's next? What would we say? What would just complete your life in the next 5 or 10 years?
Well, the reality right now is my life is complete.
Yes.
I'm so grateful. I'm blessed that my life is the way it is right now. If they were to stop time today, I've lived an awesome life.
Absolutely.
Now, having said that, there's this feeling, this anticipation, this buzz, this sort of giddiness that is only going to get better. And how much better than what it is right now is going to get, we don't know, but the reality is there's so much more to go get. One of the things that would really make me happier and more fulfilled is that I could see the people that have worked with me and have stuck with me, some of the good people, that they get to this level.
Yes.
That they make their first million, their first $2 million, their first $3 million, their first $5 million, that they are accumulating their net worth for their families, that they are completely fulfilled.
The fulfillment part,
that they're
right?
happy, that they basically got the world by the balls. I mean, that's what you want to do. It's like, man, you look at all the areas of your life, and of course, all of them could use some improvement, but that you really have taken time to strategically improve the different compartments of your life so that they're better. That would be one of my big goals. Another thing is I want to really offer my kids the best opportunity for them to reach the goals from an athletic standpoint that I did. And of course, I'm not going to force it on them. This is something that they've got to love. All I'm going to do is provide
the right tools and foundation.
The right tools, the right training, the right coaching, the camps, the tutelage in order for them to do it. Because my dad never supported my athletic ambitions. He actually thought it was stupid. He says, hey, stop playing sports, go get a job. And then I did, but I still managed to play sports, and he couldn't say anything about that anymore. But I told my dad, I said, Dad, I'm going to work for the rest of my life. Right now that I'm a kid, that I'm young, let me play sports, because I'm not going to be able to play sports. But having said that, I still love to play sports. I go to the gym. I love basketball and I love athleticism and all that. And I still go there and I still compete. Obviously not as good as I used to before, but I beat most of them.
I mean, you know what, man? For a 50-year-old multi-millionaire being in the gym, banging a basketball court with some 20-year-olds, man, I think you hold your own pretty well.
Oh, yeah, and I beat most of them because obviously I'm still harder working than some of them. You can see some of them have had cheeseburgers and pizzas, and you can tell, they're. You're
just competitive by nature.
I'm just super competitive.
I just, a little bit I know about you is that you don't like to lose. You know what I mean? And if you lose, and you go back to a drawing board and you figure out a way to win and you come back and win.
Absolutely.
This is what I know about you all these years, man. And and that's what winners all about. You might not have been undefeated, but you never beaten twice with the same person.
Well, that's a good statement to make. What's also next from a financial standpoint, you got examples of people that have gotten to areas where, hey, where's a private jet? Well, that's one of my ambitions. We'll be getting a private jet. Different homes throughout the world. That'd be pretty cool to say you go to different parts of the world and you got a different home there, obviously to grow your investment portfolio. I'd like to do that to increase my effectiveness to the marketplace where we'd be able to touch more people. There's someone out there right now that's 25 years old that's looking for someone like me that can say, man, I wish I'd had access to that guy. And, we'd be able to connect that. So therefore I can impact someone's life.
I know I connected you to two.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to tell you, these two guys, the Sepulveda brothers, man, they're going to be superstars. They're hungry, and it's almost like, the perfect player and the perfect coach. And I can see some bright future in these kids, man.
No doubt.
And I appreciate you taking them under your wing.
Guys.
I mean, they're all about execution. They're hungry. They have the right attitude. And man, for me, one of my fulfillments is I want to see them and you two. It's like win championships. You know what I mean? And I'm forever I'm going to be like, hey man, introduce these guys, man. You know, and I can see it. I can see it in the next few years. These young guys,
Absolutely.
Become multimillionaires, and come from a poverty and coming from where they come from to that. And gosh, man, what a story will that be?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And those stories are unfolding almost every month.
All the time.
Every month. There's the people it says money's not everything, but it really helps.
Tony Robbins says that money doesn't buy happiness, but it helps you arrive at your problem in style. So I got some pictures here, Guillermo. So tell me about this picture here. Tell me on the picture on the left.
This is a picture on the left. That's me and my wife. We actually got recognized to be put on a billboard. And this was right on the 60 freeway off of Fairway. There was a company held a contest. And that contest was won by me and my wife amongst 40, 50,000 licensed people. And my wife and I qualified. I think we were like one of like 6, 7 people or so throughout the company. So that was a big honor. And our picture there was also posted on in Times Square, New York City. Can you imagine? I was born on a dirt floor in Zacatecas, Mexico.
You were at Times Square, New York City.
And then my picture of me and my wife was on Times Square, New York City.
That's crazy.
Blows me away. Also, we're on billboards throughout here in Southern California. So that was a real cool thing. And that's our photographer who took that. That was the name of that contest, Own Your Future. To the right there, that's actually one of our Momentum Mondays, where we get together once a month and sort of do a recognition session for last month's performance.
And these are all your agents?
Oh yeah, that's just a fraction of them.
Holy.
Yeah, that's a fraction.
Holy.
That's close to about 700 or so people right
Holy.
there. Pack out the room.
Gosh,
we just had that meeting yesterday where this gentleman, Danny Farias, did his talk, and it's incredible, man. It's fascinating.
Wow, the life that you
I might
changed.
invite you to one of these, so that way.
I would love to. I would love to, please.
Perfect. Yeah.
Please, I will be honored. Okay. Well, look at the boys. Okay.
Look at those guys.
Okay.
So to the left there, my little man, Maximiliano. So we were supposed to call him Max, M-A-X, but then his older brother couldn't say Max with an X for some reason, called him Mac. So now everybody calls him Mac. So my little man right there, that's Mac. He's just, oh my God, he's a ball of energy. Look at, you can just tell by that little face. And then Valentino's the sweetest, just most likable boy out there. He's they're awesome. And look at the picture there with our basketballs. Look at the little swag on the little one.
You got the Jordans on or whatever.
So I told him, hey, where's your game face? I said, it's time to show the game face.
Like this.
Yeah, there's a game face right there. So I installed a brand new basketball court for them there at the house. And we go out there and we play. And Valentino and his buddy from across the street, actually, I put it on my Instagram there, on my story. They actually lost to the 2 nannies that were wearing chanclas, sandals. So the 2 nannies versus the 2 kids, and the nannies beat them. And I recorded the whole thing. I talked about it, and I told Valentino, I says, I'm gonna tell you about the story until you get good enough to beat
them.
Nannies. So he's like, oh, he was pissed. So now that he knows that the world knows that they lost, so
that put me on blast.
Oh yeah. So you talk about some fuel.
What I noticed, just now. I don't know if you noticed it or not. Is as soon as about these pictures, your whole tone changed.
Really?
Yeah, your whole tone changed. Like I don't think you noticed it. But it's like such a proud father. Like I can tell like your whole tone. Like I can just tell like I felt that you start talking through the gut. It's such a proud father. And I know a lot of people when they talk about my daughter, they say like I sparkle up. You know what I mean? And that's how you know that it's you're so proud of your children and what on how you're able to provide them the tools that you didn't have.
Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt, man. You take. I prayed to God for so long to give me my 2 little boys, and look what He delivered to me.
Yep.
They're healthy, they're strong. They're misbehaving sometimes, but I actually love it. And oh man, they're the joy of my life. I'm just so grateful that my wife was able to give me 2 boys.
And you're with Lewis Howes and Ed Milet?
Yes, sir.
Awesome, man. I mean, you've been around some of the top people. You are one of the top people.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? And you mention all the time, proximity is power. You're always surround yourself with people that you look up to and aspire to be like, and all that kind of stuff. And one thing I've known about you, you're humble enough when you don't know something to ask for help.
Absolutely.
And to be able to coach. I remember, not too long ago, you said, Sam, I want to, even though you're in great shape, you wanted to get in a little better shape, and you came over and we talked about, a little diet program and exercise program and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people, when they get to a certain level, they think they know it all, and I think that's the beginning of end. You know what I mean? And you're humble enough to say, Sam, I don't know too much about this. You might know a little bit. Let me have you help me and get some different insights.
No doubt. By the way, I do that in all areas of my life.
Yep,
I have my spiritual coach. My mom's a very spiritual person, so I go to her to help me understand things. Obviously I don't know everything. And then I look at nutrition people, obviously health people, wellness people, financial people, mental people. Like, how do you learn how to be happy? Because a lot of people aren't happy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pissed off people out there.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of people who latch on to things where they create anger within themselves over something that's not even worth it.
Yeah.
Like, for example, on traffic, like someone cuts you off, and then you got the people that are flicking off fingers and all that, and they create this sort of animosity. It's like, let it go.
Bro, you can't.
Let it go. It's not worth it.
Yeah, it's funny, man. I've learned to do that over the years, and I always say, you know what? I can't control what I can't control.
No.
I can only be mad or upset of something that I can control of. But if I can't control something, I'm not going to get mad at it.
Absolutely, yeah.
And there's the wifey.
There's the wife right there.
So you guys got married what year?
This was, we're supposed to get married 10/10/10, October 10th, 2010. Mm-hmm. And that would fall on a Sunday. And obviously the cathedral we wanted to get married at, they would have 6 masses that day. And they weren't having it where they were going to host our wedding on a Sunday. So it turned out to be 10/9/10, so it was a Saturday, and we got married October 9th, 2010. So
okay, so
up on 9 years.
So I'm looking at that picture. I'm looking at your face. I'm looking at your face now. Like I said, you look younger now than you did when you got married. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, and
had a few extra LBs on me right there, huh?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for sure. And when I first met you, you had a few on top of that.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So I'm just looking at like your whole transformation, man. I mean, it's great that, you have done so well financially, that you got your family life together, you have your faith together, you have your fitness together, and we know you have fun, man. Now we see your parties at the house, and we see what you do for your family and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you are a true definition of a 1%er, man. And it's such an honor for me just to see this,
Appreciate it, man.
All right, so tell me what's on the left and what's on the right.
To the left there is my good friend. His name is Gustavo Vargas. He's an on-air personality with a Spanish station called KTNQ, and he asked me to go to his studio there in the West Side, and he actually did a whole kind of like a briefing of this right here over financial education, financial literacy, financial habits, how to get ahead. And he's actually done 2 or 3 of them with me, and has really impacted the Spanish-speaking community out there. I believe they're probably some of the people that need the most help, since there's not a whole lot aimed at them. People are trying to sell them something, but they don't really necessarily educate them. So we pride on the fact that through like a channel like this, we'd be able to reach out to people to educate them about financial matters.
Especially the Hispanic market, where they're not very well educated.
Yeah. Remember, the word Hispanic has the word panic in it, and we don't like that.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, Latino market.
You see Hispanic as HIS, so his, and then panic. So nothing with the word panic in it can be good.
Yeah, it can be good.
And then when you say Hispanic, you also say, well, what happened to her panic?
Her panic. I like that, right?
So Latino, we like to refer them as Latino, Spanish-speaking people.
Awesome.
And then to the right there, that's obviously me speaking at a company convention, 30 to 40,000 people in the audience. And the company selected me to go up on stage and talk about my business philosophy, my story, some points that can inspire people to fight the fight, stay the course, become successful, and live and design a life on your terms.
Okay, so for a regular person that has a 9-to-5 job, right? And that's what they're going to do the rest of their life,
Well, if they choose to.
If they choose to, right? What would be your top 5 tips for somebody to create wealth? So for some people, that are listening there and all, and let's just say, let's just say they're only going to make, $50,000 to $100,000 a year from here on. What would be your top 5?
For your average person out there?
Yes.
There's two ways. One would be the slow pace, and one would be the, obviously the carpooling.
Okay, give me the slow pace first.
So the slow pace, obviously, is get your finances in order to the point where you stop buying shit that you don't need, right? There's so many people out there trying to look rich, and they're going broke in the process of
I was
doing
one
so.
of them. I've done that before. I've done that before,
Well,
yeah.
a lot of people are doing that.
Yeah.
So stop trying to look rich at the expense of going broke.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. Have a financial coach. Someone that will look at your personal finances and then cut out the fat and get on a pretty disciplined financial budget and then follow it. Okay? Do you really need cable? What about your Starbucks habits? Happy hour. Do you smoke? Too much alcohol? All of these things cost money that are actually screwing you up. And by the way, there's people who charge up on their credit card to go spend $200 at happy hour.
Yeah.
Now they got to pay interest on the $200. It was that necessary. So people put themselves, like you make your bed and then you lay in it.
And it all becomes the discipline and the great gratification.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and I think constant review of that and someone that's willing to hold you to that. And you got to be
accountability.
Yes. To be accountable, and you've got to be willing to change your habits. They say if nothing changes, then nothing changes.
Yep.
Okay, so that'd be the first thing. The second thing would be is to put yourself in a position where you could actually work with someone to effectively help you from a tax perspective. There's so much out there. There's people that are not creating positive things for them in that space. So if you can get on a budget, if you can actually get a good tax person to help you with that side of it. The third thing would be is your investments. Or do you have any investments? Or are you creating anything to get you to the top? There's so many people that are just concerned about getting out of debt, but then they're out of debt and then they start charging up new debt because they can't hold themselves back. So a magic thing would be to pay yourself first. People have a list of bills. So look at it this way, Sam. Someone makes, say, $8,000 a month. Mm-hmm. They make $8,000 a month. That's roughly $100,000. Maybe 8333 is the exact number. So you make $100,000 a year, and they go to work, and they make this check, they bring that check home, and all they do is pay bills. So they work to pay bills, work to pay bills, work to pay, and they have that, they do that over and over again. So if I'm that person that says the first person you must pay is yourself, who's doing all the work? You. Yep. Who should get paid first? You. Yep. So we establish that concept of, isn't that unique? You do all the work, you should pay yourself first. So 10% of every dollar you make should be going to personal savings for retirement, for your own personal savings. Then you pay your bills. And if you establish that habit of paying yourself first, life goes on.
Such a common sense, but nobody does it.
Well, no, almost no one does it. Exactly. So people work to pay their bills first, and then there's nothing left for them.
The richest man in Babylon, finance 101.
Exactly. So it's just real simple, but so we teach that. And through our model, through our concept, we get up on stage and we tell that to hundreds of people. And now a lot of the people that follow us on a consistent basis, they've practiced that. Like this Danny Farias I mentioned to you, he's up into the hundreds of thousands of dollars saved because he bought into the concept of pay yourself first. You get money coming into your life, the first 10% should go into your get rich account.
Yes.
Or at least that's what we call it. Because if you keep adding to it, you will get rich.
Yes.
You'll get in debt if you keep adding to it. So anything you fertilize and water will grow.
Yes.
So you got to fertilize and water your personal savings. This makes sense. So we do some of those things. Let's talk about the fast track. The fast track is use all the concept of the slow one, but now accelerated by increasing your income. Sam, it's been said that the gap between expenses and income is a wealth gap.
The gap between expenses and income. Got it.
Exactly. Well,
so the bigger the gap, the bigger the wealth.
Absolutely. So again, you have, say, $7,000 of expenses. You talk about your house, your car insurance, your bills, your utility bills, your gasoline, food, etc. You have your expenses, and say they're $7,000. So it says you can't really cut a whole lot of those. You're not going to eat less.
Yeah.
Or probably most people don't eat less. You're not going to have less gas. So you already understand that these are the mandatory expenses of your life. Any expense above that would be now fat, and you need to cut out the fat. But any income above that now creates a wealth gap. So if you made $15,000 that month and your expenses are $7,000, bro, you just created $8,000 that you now can take and effectively save it. You got richer that month by $8,000. Yeah. Take that over the course of a year, the next year, 3 years. And then if you increase the income.
And if you invest it properly or put in the right vehicle.
No doubt, no doubt. But just the fact that you're saving it creates personal confidence. and it puts you in a position where life is turning out better for you, because confidence is, in large part, the amount of money you have saved.
So true.
Let me tell you a quick story, Sam. I learned that concept when I was in my 20s, and I actually started doing it. So I sacrificed. I didn't have a lot of fancy stuff. I wasn't buying jewelry. I wasn't buying a lot of watches. I wasn't traveling. I didn't go to happy hour. I wasn't going to Vegas for bottle service. I didn't go to Coachella. I didn't go to Rosarito. So I had this delayed gratification kind of life. Let me tell you what happened. So I was living in Pomona in a 1-bedroom condo. Everybody hears this story. Living in Pomona in a 1-bedroom condo.
And this is when you were already doing pretty well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You were already doing pretty well. Pretty well, and you're like, I'm good right now.
Absolutely. So I lived in a 1-bedroom condo on Town Avenue in Pomona. My mortgage payment was $515 a month, and my homeowner association was like $125, and then I had my gas bill was like $8, and then my phone bill, my cell phone, my gas.
So $1,000 all in.
So I'm probably, my living expenses were maybe, I don't know, $3,000-$4,000, by the way, and then I had my office rent and my assistant, and so invest in your business. But that month I had made like $85,000, somewhere around there. So I made $85,000 and my expenses were $5,000. So I had $80,000 of money that I would take. Of course, you got to pay your taxes, so that brings it down. But let's suppose it's say 50.
Yeah.
So I'd save $50,000 that month. You have any idea how fast your net worth can grow, and your savings can grow, and your confidence, and your ability to now show people, say, hey, I'm doing it. And now we look at it as I still do that with larger amounts, but now I don't hold back on anything that I want. So I now have both worlds. I have the things that I want. Like there's not a whole lot of material stuff I want that I don't have, other than a private jet maybe. I'm not interested in buying a yacht, but just a private jet. But they'll come to the point where your savings and your investments are doing so well, and they're big, and you can also have the things you want. We don't compromise on food. We don't compromise on, my wife has her budget that I give her every month for her expenses is pretty healthy. You can see on her Instagram all the stuff she has, and then my kids, I don't hold back on anything like that.
So stop there for a second.
Yeah.
So you just said something right now that I wanted to know, right? So obviously we know you do very well. You make more in 1 month than most people make in 5 years. Most average people make in 5 years, right? Definitely you make more in 1 month than 90% of people make in a year. We know that, right? Do you still operate at a budget? Do you still operate at a budget? Do you say, okay, well, you know what, hey, this is a budget, for a household. This is a budget for this. Or does it come to a point where you're like, you know what, we make so much that I don't really need to have a budget, but I kind of want to stay within this range.
By nature, I'm a negotiator, Sam. You know that. You know that from me from the beginning. That never has gone away.
You like to control,
Yes,
and that's what because I struggle with that. I'm not asking for you. I'm asking for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Here's what
I want to have that conversation with my wife.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to have that conversation with my wife because I'm like, because if you don't watch it, if you're not aware of it, next thing you know, it goes all over the place.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, it's like, there's this insane amount of money that's just gone nowhere, and we can't account for it.
Yeah. There's a thing that I've watched real successful people do where they start becoming sloppy and wasteful. And we see it all over the place. Someone gets up to a certain amount of money, they make $500,000 or they make $1 million, and they think that's a lot of money. I used to think that was a lot of money. It's like, oh, I made $1 million. That's a lot of money. You can tell where their thoughts are.
I mean, we say it all the time. Mike Tyson thought he had a lot of money. MC Hammer thought a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we all know one thing. You can always spend more than you have. I don't care who you are.
No matter, exactly.
I don't care who you are.
I'm always watching out for that. And let me tell you too, I still have no problem shopping at discount places. And wherever I shop, I still ask for a discount. I go to
so you didn't single me out 20 years ago, man. You trying to get a discount for personal training. I came in, man, negotiated. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's just a pattern and it served me very well. But let me tell you the distinction though. So let's suppose I would go buy an item. For example, I go buy a car. Say a car is $100,000. And then I negotiate it down to say 90. Well, then I saved $10,000, right?
Yeah.
But did you really save it? So I still pay $100,000, 90 for them, 100 for my savings. 10 for my savings.
Yeah.
You with me?
Yeah.
So I still do save it. So I've held on to that pattern over and over again, that if I negotiate something, by the way, I do deals with hotels, I do deals with merchants, vendors, all sorts of stuff. And that says, okay, what's the price? And then I negotiate that down and say if it's 10, 15%, whatever it is. And I take that amount and it says, well, I actually save that due to my ability to negotiate.
You know, I love that about you, man. I love that about you, and I want to be like you, and I want to, I'm learning so much here. I mean, I'm taking so much mental notes from you right now, and for those of the guys that are watching this, man. I mean, if this is some huge amount of knowledge bombs, man. I mean, like for you to take what he just said, just apply some of the things. You know, what I mean, it's just incredible to know somebody that is at your level. Is so disciplined. He's so disciplined. Not only, like I said, you're so successful. As you get more successful, you're hungry, which is just, it's totally opposite of what everybody else
Absolutely.
does. But you still stay disciplined. And when I was talking to, Tim Grover, you know him very well. He spoke at your event, and he spoke so highly of you. And he said your event was just one of the best ones he's ever been to, which is no surprise. I see the events that you put on. He said that when Michael Jordan, after every game, when he played 48 minutes. He went to Michael Jordan and says, 6, 7, or 8. And that meant what time we're practicing tomorrow, 6 a.m., 7 a.m., or 8 a.m. Now this could be at 11 o'clock at night. He played 48 minutes straight, and now he's still going there. And he said, every practice, Michael Jordan, the greatest player of all time, slam dunk champion, he said every practice, he started with 100 chest passes, the most basic movement. So he wasn't doing 360 slam dunks or, behind the neck, throw ups. He stuck to the fundamentals. You know what I mean? And it sounds like you are like the Michael Jordan of finances, even though you are at the top of the food chain and you're doing so well, still there are fundamentals that you can't ignore. And I think when people start getting fancy, whether it's in sports or whatever it is, they start ignoring the fundamentals. That's the beginning of the end.
Absolutely. There's nothing like keeping it basic, keeping it simple, keeping the right example for the beginner. Speaking about Michael Jordan, is he would always give his best, even though they were blowing the team out by 30 points or they were losing. He still gave it his best because, hey, that little kid in the audience probably saved his last dime to come see me that one time in his life, and that guy shouldn't be cheated out of me watching the less. Yeah. So I look at that. I go to every one of my meetings and every one of my functions, and I try to bring my A game every single time. It could be that new associate, that new person that's looking to hear Guillermo Haro speak. Should they get less than what they bought for?
Yeah.
Than what they bargained for?
Just profound, man. Just profound. I mean, this is one of the best interviews I've done, especially when it comes to finances, man. I mean, it's just it's incredible amount of knowledge, man. So for the people who are listening right now, where can they find you? Can you tell them exactly where to find you? Tell them all your handles.
Okay? Yeah, I'm all over the place. First of all, would be Instagram, Guillermo Haro 33. That's my Instagram page. I'm all over Facebook, Guillermo Haro. I have a YouTube channel, Guillermo Haro Team Conquer. I have that. And then we have, we're reconstructing our site where people are going to be able to go there and then get all of my updates and be able to buy stuff on there. My wife's got a line coming out for leggings and stuff. I don't know if you heard about that.
Yes, she was talking to me about it.
We got a lot of things in the works right now. We're just really excited about things that are happening for us. Potentially, I've talked to some people. We may have of my brand, my GH brand. By the way, it's Go Hard.
Oh, I like that.
Hard. So it's Guillermo Haro, but it's Go Hard.
Go Hard?
Yeah, Go Hard. And which is basically what I've done for 20 years. I go hard every single day.
Go hard and go consistent.
Yeah,
I mean, consistently, you apply what you did to me 20 years ago, which negotiate, and now, you're 20x your income and you still negotiate. Yeah. You stuck to the fundamentals.
Absolutely.
You never, I'm just blown away.
So one of my things too is we have a project going out there too, where I'm going to try to look into that. In Mexico, we have some contacts. And I'm trying to come out with a tequila brand with my Go Hard. And that funny is Go Hard, and then we're going to have some premium tequila out there, something to rival like the stuff that's out here from a real Mexican, not someone who's not Mexican trying to sell tequila.
I cannot wait. I mean, I'm who else will be better at that, than you? I think you have the story. You're a real Mexican.
I'm a real Mexican.
And we know not only you go hard in everything. Mm-hmm. You know how to work hard, you know how to play hard, you know how to have fun, you have your faith in place, family, fitness, finance fund. True 1%er. Guillermo, it's an honor, someone of your caliber coming to the house, sharing the story with me, and knowing that, it wasn't all given to you. This is something that you came in with a very humble beginnings. Your parents risked their lives for you. Mm-hmm. They did the best that you could do, and you saw an opportunity, and after that, you never looked back.
And after it.
Yep. God bless you, man. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. Thank you.